Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Nate here. And Skyrim is home to hundreds, heck, maybe thousands of colorful characters for the Dragonborn to meet and interact with, each boasting their own unique backstories and personalities. But not all of these NPCs are entirely new to the Elder Scrolls franchise. Some have made appearances in previous games, such as Oblivion or Morrowind, and have managed to just stick around long enough to find themselves in Skyrim. The great thing is, when speaking to these returning characters, they never explicitly tell you where they're from, or how they met the last title's hero. Instead, we just have to put the pieces together ourselves, which makes it all the more rewarding when we run into a fellow we can recognize. Anyway, with that out of the way, today we'll be taking a look at 5 more recurring characters you may have missed in The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Starting off, in The Elder Scrolls III Morrowind's Blood Moon DLC, as well as Skyrim's Dragonborn one, which both took us to the island of Solstheim, one location we could visit was an odd circle of large stones called Brodir's Grove. In Skyrim, we're not really told much about it. The whole place seems relatively insignificant. But in Blood Moon, we learn that these stones indeed once used to be people. According to legend, 500 years before the Elder Scrolls III began, a number of Nords, including some individuals named Hunrur, Nicholas, and Erlender, were once betrayed by a wizard companion of theirs, who in a twisted fit of rage transformed them into stone during their travels. A pretty tragic tale. These rocks are all that's left of them. But towards the end of the Elder Scrolls V's main questline, when the Dragonborn is sent to Sovngarde for a final showdown against Alduin, inside the Hall of Valor, we can meet 3 Nordic spirits, bearing the names Hunrur, Nicholas, and Erlender. Unfortunately, they lack any unique dialogue, nor do they play much of a role in the quest itself. In fact, it's fairly easy to mistake them for the generic Hero of Sovngarde NPCs we find in this area. However, it is nice to know that despite suffering such a horrible fate all those years ago, these 3 sons of Skyrim did eventually find their peace. Next on our list, Dervenin is a Bospor beggar that can be found wandering the streets of Solitude. When spoken to, aside from asking for some coin, he'll ramble on about how his master abandoned him, and request you bring said master back.
My master has abandoned me, abandoned his people, and nothing I say can change his mind. Now he refuses to even see me. He says I interrupt his vacation. It's been so many years. Won't you please help?
It's initially unclear who this wood elf is referring to, and he seems a bit crazy, but Dervenin will direct the Dragonborn to the ancient Pelagius wing of Solitude's Blue Palace. This begins the quest, The Mind of Madness. Of course, we're ultimately led to a strange realm called the Mind of Pelagius, where we meet and learn that Sheogorath, Daedric Prince of Insanity, is the master in question, and the god sends us on a variety of trials. Once completed, we're allowed to leave, and Sheo will summon Dervenin back to his side, who will gratefully thank you both, and the quest will finally be completed. Well, as you may already be beginning to guess, some of us have ran into this deranged wood elf before. In the Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion's Shivering Isles DLC, which sent players to the Shivering Isles, Sheogorath's Plane of Oblivion, Dervenin was a priest we could meet in the region of Mania. He didn't play an especially remarkable role in the main questline, however did in a few side quests. Evidently, since the events of that expansion, the poor guy's fallen on some very tough times, though we of course have an opportunity to correct that. Furthermore, as a bit of a bonus fact if you will, while we of course also got to meet Sheogorath in his Shivering Isles DLC, at the end of the story, the hero of Kvatch ended up becoming him. Yes, your character assumed the role and form of Sheogorath. So technically, in Skyrim, the Sheo that we got to meet is also your character from Oblivion. Pretty cool. Coming at number 3, we venture back to Solstheim. This character is particularly unique, as their very existence is a bit of an Easter egg in its own right. And to even meet them, you have to go through a bit of an odd process. Within the glacial cave, towards the end of the dungeon, will be a strange bone lodged in some ice, named Karstag's Skull. Pick it up and head over to the Castle Karstag ruins. And once you've made it into the throne room, either by going through a large series of caves, or just picking a simple master lock, the Dragonborn will have the option to place Karstag's skull on that throne. Once done, a massive spectral ice giant named Karstag will be summoned, whom you'll have to defeat. Spawning in at level 90 with a base health of 4,000, don't expect this to be an easy fight by any stretch of the imagination. And to make matters worse, when you do finally best him, which may or may not have taken a reload or two in my case, all you get out of it are 5 filled soul gems and some ectoplasm. Real bummer. Nonetheless, that's that. Karstag is basically just a hidden boss fight. What you may not have known is that back in Morrowind's Blood Moon DLC, not only did the odd creature play a role, but he had a much more interesting and fleshed out story that really gave him some light. He lived in the same location, and just prior to the events of the game, as we'd hear from the Skull, Karstag apparently led an entire tribe of Reiklings. And his little faction evidently even had peaceful relations with many of their neighbors, including those Skull. But towards the end of Blood Moon's main story, Karstag was kidnapped by Hirsine, the antagonist, and the two of you would be forced to fight it out to the end. And so, for many players, Karstag is a respectable foe that they've now jockeyed against twice. For a 4th spot, this Altmer isn't quite as significant as a secret frost giant boss or anything, but his inclusion is still cool nonetheless. Nelacar is a high elf mage living in the Frozen Hearth Inn in Winterhold. Apparently he once studied at the college, but was expelled after a series of failed experiments and poor performance. Rather than move somewhere more hospitable after his expulsion, Nelacar decided to stay in the town of Winterhold, here at this inn, where he could continue some research and still be in close proximity to many of his former friends and colleagues. During Azura's Daedric quest, the Black Star, wherein you have to locate a unique soul gem and the man holding onto it for Azura, Nelacar will play a small role in guiding the Dovahkiin to where you should look. Aside from that, the elf doesn't really do anything else. Well, in the Elder Scrolls III Morrowind, it seems we already got a chance to interact with this not-so-competent wizard, as a high elf mage named Nelacar could be encountered in the Dunarai Caverns, who had offered the Nerevarine a mission to deliver some beverages for him. Not too much of a big deal, but perhaps more interestingly, in the same Morrowind location we could meet Nelacar, there was another high elven Nightblade, named Volinaro, that could be stumbled upon as well. And in Oblivion, there was a Nightblade Altmer member of the Mages Guild, named, you guessed it, Volinaro. So, 2 high elves from the same place in Morrowind both made repeat appearances in different games. Kinda neat. And finally, last on our list, in the Dark Brotherhood questline, just after the listener has murdered Vittoria Vici to death when Bound Until Death has been completed, you'll be rewarded with the Summon Spectral Assassin spell, which conjures the spirit of an ancient Dark Brotherhood assassin to fight alongside you. The thing is, this ancient ghostly assassin will be quite familiar to those of you who have dabbled in Oblivion's own Dark Brotherhood quests, as this ghost, according to the spell's description and his own dialogue, is that of Lucien Lachance, speaker for the guild during the events of that game. Lucien played a rather important role in the Elder Scrolls IV. He was the one who recruited the hero of Kvatch into the guild in the first place, and was always pretty nice. Unfortunately, midway through the plot, our poor friend here died after being framed for a few things. But his spirit apparently lives on. Literally. What's so cool is that Skyrim's Lucien Lachance also comes with some dialogue, voiced by the same actor that occasionally makes references to Oblivion.
In my time, the blades protected the Emperor. It would seem these Penitus Oculatus will prove equally incompetent. Have you heard the tale of Matthew Bellamont and the great treachery of Chaden Hall? Killboy's mother, and vengeance festers in the sun.
And to take this all a step further, Shadowmere, the horse Astrid gives to you when you're trying to track down Cicero, spoiler alert there, also made an appearance in Oblivion 2. And if you put Lucien and Shadowmere together in the same area, there's a chance that he might say some unique lines of dialogue.
Shadowmere, my old and dear friend.
Unfortunately, Shadowmere doesn't come with any unique dialogue of his own. How lazy of you, Bethesda. And with that, we are going to wrap up. 5 more things you probably didn't know you could do in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Part 2. Thanks for stopping by, everybody. Which of these NPCs did you find to be the interestingest or most fascinating? And what returning Elder Scrolls characters do you know of who popped into Skyrim that I haven't covered in this series yet? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everyone.